Thank you for the opportunity to present Christchurch Grammar's Memorial Hall project. I'd just like to start by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land, the Wurundjeri peoples of the Kulin Nation. They recognise their continuing connection to land, water and community, and pay respects to their elders past, present and emerging. So Christchurch Grammar School sits on the corner of Turak Road and Punt Roads, next to a heritage listed church and within the heritage overlay. The hall was built in 1924 and has, in the heritage overlay, talks about its gothic revival features, the tower, and the brief from the client, showing you some existing photos, was to try to upgrade a hall that had been basically the same since 1924 when it was built. Built very much as a multi-purpose space. So there are line markings on the floor, there's a stage. There used to be a balcony which sometime in the 50s was converted into more classrooms. And the brief had services all over the walls, gas heaters on the walls, and a very, very high stage at one end, which was deemed to be unfit for primary age children. So the brief was to do an upgrade to add warmth, but still maintain the Gothic character of the space and its multi-purpose usage. So here you can see the wall facing west, looking out at an open courtyard. Importantly, there's a memorial to Roll of Honour for those who died in the First World War that had to be maintained, and all of this had to be done within the heritage overlay of the building. So the idea here was to wrap the interior with timber to cover up all the existing brick walls with purposes of hiding all the surfaces which were apparent on the walls, with improving the acoustics, which were appalling, and bringing warmth and light character into the building. So you can see the original balcony, or the balcony which had been converted into classrooms, into seating, and the stage on the left lowered that tier down so that they could have musical performances on the steps on the stage. And the design response was to insert a mixture of timber panels. At lower level, it already had some timber panelling, but it was in very poor condition, so that it was all restored and replaced, like for like. A mixture of perforated panels and solid timber panels on the walls, framing all the windows. A central group of timber panels set out from the lower and upper group, so that there's an opportunity for some hidden lighting to throw nice light up and down the building. And interestingly enough, the floor was only just sanded and refinished, but the floor underneath the stage is some new air conditioning, which comes out in vents along the front of the stage and at the sides. So you can see here now the new stage is at a height where students can access the stage. They've disabled access to the stage as well. And really been a complete restoration with the memorial refitted into the timber panelling. On the balcony, again tiered seating with air conditioning ducting underneath. We've treated the corbelling underneath trusses, the trusses being an important character part of the building, but we struggled to work out how we were going to do those, but we eventually had more timber panels made and cut precisely the sides so that they could sit around the corbels. And now, which hasn't been seen, a view before for a long time, a view from the balcony up to the stage with a frameless glass balustrade. We were able to get some special glass made so we didn't have to put the capping on it. And importantly, looking back in a northerly direction, for the first time the Gothic window has been made visible within the church hall, within the hall. Called a church hall, but it is a multi-purpose hall. It's used for performances, it's used for everyday assemblies, it's used for after-school care, It's used during lunchtime. It's used by members of the church community. So it's truly a multi-purpose space. And the school put on multiple concerts every year. And the hall can seat up to about 170 parents and staff members and others now. This was all completed within a budget of around about $1.2 million, which was a challenging budget at the start, especially with a lot of new lighting, air conditioning, removing and having to replace all the switchboards, which were 40 years old. So there was a fair bit of infrastructure work in there, but there's also now we repainted and lined the rear of the stage so that there's a short throw projector behind the proscenium arch and the curtains, which are original, to allow them to provide audio visual rather than creating sets for performances. And a view straight up to the proscenium arch. So as I said, we've left one element of brickwork there, which seemed a bit hard to get scaffolding up to at the time within the budget, but really transforming this from what was an extremely dull, dark and dingy space into one that's light-filled. And I suppose I'll finish off by giving a quote from the client. Says, "The team worked closely with us and our builders to design a hall upgrade that maintained its heritage yet provided a modern, warm and soft feel. Everyone entering the hall has commented on the aesthetics, the acoustics, the feel and the perfect melding of old and new. We couldn't be happier." So we felt that for a small budget it was an extremely successful little project, which we're delighted with. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
So, I mean, what's fascinating, so you've just, in terms of that ground level panelling, that's existing, that's been...
No, we replicated the panelling that was there.
Okay.
The intention at the beginning from a budgetary viewpoint was to try and take it off, number every panel.
Oh, right.
But when we started to take it off, we found that the plywood panels were only a couple of millimetres thick.
Also, the colourway was quite different, wasn't it?
Sorry?
The colourway was quite different, the timber.
It's only because it had all yellowed over time.
Oh, right.
So the timber's exactly the same.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Which matches the timber on the floor and the timber on the stage. So we used exactly the same timber. It's just that its age had made that floor look.
And the doors are new?
No, the doors are existing.
Yeah, so they
were put in 20 odd years ago. And again, from a budgetary viewpoint, it would have been nice to have replaced them, but there was a...
I think it's a really sympathetic approach. Like, it's the interventions, just you can tell the quality of the space. And it's
we were trying to make that intervention light, but still effective. And
did you have to do anything to the ceiling? Is there any...
only get up there with a broom and clean it for the first time in 100 years. The trusses were very, very dirty, so there was quite a lot of work done on that, and the whole place was scaffolded out for a couple of months.
I really enjoyed how you've captured the datum of the tops of the doors and the lower edge of the windows as it wraps around.
Because the original panelling, you see, only came up to about two-thirds of the way up the door, so we've tried to keep some high tide lines around there.
And so that just pushes out, doesn't it? It doesn't step kind of as a ziggurat would.
No, it just sits out 35 mils or so, just to enable a little strip light to go in behind it and underneath it.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you
very much.